Hey everybody, it's Moonbo here, and welcome back to some more Endless Scrap Mechanic. Today we're back with another build that uses the Fant Mod. Now, I did an underwater base series that utilized an air generator that made it so you could walk around underwater. And one thing I really wanted to do with that is make a submarine that could do the same thing. So of course, that is what we're going to be taking a look at today. Behind me you can see there is a submarine, and I think this might be one of the most ambitious water creations I have ever made in Scrap Mechanic. So we're going to start by taking a look at this submarine outside of the water, because once we drop it in, we do lose some frames and it won't be the best way to experience the interior, because this sub has a full-size interior, and that is what I mean by being ambitious. So of course we're going to start by opening up our top hatch. Now this is the same hatch from our underwater base. So now that we're on board the submarine, the first thing we're going to want to do is go all the way forward here. We're going to go down a deck. That is right, there are two decks to this submarine, and here we are in the ops room. Now the first thing you want to do when you get this sub is you want to come down into this room and you want to turn on the main lights. So as you can see, we turn that switch on and all of the lights on the sub activate, and we even have a light panel here as well, so you can keep track of which lights are on and which lights are off. But now that we have the lights turned on, we can do a proper tour of this entire submarine. So we're gonna go back to where the ladder is, and right here at the base of the ladder we have our admin area. This is where crew members would be coming down, you know, going through the admin. This is a medical bay, of course. Right here you can see we have a medical bed, and then right here this is just like an equipment room. You can see we have some power panels. There's also some ventilation here as well, and then this leads right up to the captain's chair. Now this chair, there's nothing fancy going on here. As you can see, there's just a whole bunch of switches and buttons and sensors glued to the wall, and there is quite a bit going on. I did end up going a little crazy with this build, getting it to work, but I'm really happy with the end result, and we're going to see that in the water soon enough. Now, from here, we could go all the way back to the aft end. There is also a ladder here, of course, that we saw earlier that goes down to the ops room. So why don't we do that, and then we'll kind of go backwards and loop back up to the top. So yeah, this is the ops room. You can see that the thrusters did eventually have to take over. I tried to kind of compromise between the thrusters as well as the functional space in this sub and kind of making it feel like it is a sub. But now we're just going to go aft of the sub a little bit more here, and you can see this is another ventilation room. On ships and stuff, you'll see a lot of these types of rooms that just have machinery and all sorts of different things doing a lot of other different things. So now if we go a little further aft here, you can see that this is our bunk area for all of the crew members on board the sub, and it's very common on submarines for people to share bunks because there is such limited space. And if I'm being honest, I'm sure that what you see here is not an accurate representation of how claustrophobic you might get on a real one. So now once we pass the sleeping area here, this leads to a utility closet. You know, I tried to kind of get a little bit of everything that would be on a sub on this sub here. So we got a utility closet with a mop bucket, you know, just in case there's a mess somewhere that needs to be cleaned up. And then it leads back here to another space. Now this is the shower section here, and there is also a toilet tucked away in that back corner. And if we go a little farther back, this is kind of where the whole thing just turned into thrusters. Now, there are a lot of thrusters in this back end. I did at one point have this built in like a bit of a detailed way, but in the end, the thrusters took over, they won, but we did get a moving ship or a moving submarine in the end. Now you'll notice that there are some cucumbers on the deck right here. Now why would there be some cucumbers? Well, this was supposed to be the food storage area, but obviously thrusters are more important than food. But this ladder right here leads us up to the deck above, and all you got to do is jump on that top rung, and would you look at that, we are now in our galley. This is our kitchen on board the submarine, and this is where obviously all of the food would be prepared and served. And if we just go over to the next area here, this is of course the crew's cafeteria where everybody would be eating. And so if we just move past our crew's cafeteria, we go into an emergency station. So as you can see, we've got some air bottles. These are firefighter boots, and this would be like where all of the firefighter equipment would be stored in some lockers. So this is pretty much like if there's a fire or any type of emergency situation, there would be an attack team here, a few people all ready to go to fight whatever emergency there's happening. And so from this area, this is where there is another ladder. So this ladder would bring us right down here to the utility closet as well as the crew's cabin right there. So obviously, that's just one way to get up and down, as well as the ladder back here that you can get in through the galley. And so just above this ladder, there is another bathroom right here, and then we are brought all the way back to our ladder again. So now if we do like a quick walkthrough again, you can see that this build is actually quite large. There is a lot of space, and that's what I meant again by how ambitious it was, because again, this is all underwater as we're using it, and the Fant mod of course makes it possible to walk around while it's in that water. So we've done the grand tour of the submarine, so I guess it's now time we bring this in to the water and we take it for a trip. So as you can see, this submarine is really neutrally buoyant. Now this is the biggest thing I have ever balanced in the water in this game, and I'm really happy with the results. As you can see, the submarine is just staying above the surface of the water. It allows us to walk around on this top deck right here. So let's just open up this hatch like so. And so when you spawn this in as well and like put it in the water, the Fant mod air generators are on by default. I made it so that they are like automatically activated, and we are able to walk around on this sub. I gotta say, this is probably one of the coolest mods I have ever seen in Scrap Mechanic. I highly suggest you check it out. It works so well, and it really just changes the dynamic of a build like this. Now obviously you can still kind of hear the water, you can see some of the water's effects, there is like a blue hue in the air, but it just kind of adds to the atmosphere in the end, and it just looks so good. So here we go, we are going to shut the hatch just like so, and here we go, we are now controlling the submarine. And you know what? There is something that is missing that is really easy to add with the Fant mod. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put a switch right here. Now the Fant mod has a camera, and this, it works so well. I can't even begin to describe how good this is. So we're going to open up our hatch here. And so I want this camera to be a little bit off of our top deck, just like so. And of course we want to make sure it's pointing in the right direction. There we go. So this is how easy this camera is. All I need to do is press U on it, and there you go. You can see it has set me to the owner of the camera. Now I put that switch down by that seat there. If I can just grab it like so, we're gonna grab that switch, we're gonna bring it over to the camera just like that, and watch this magic happen. So all we have to do now is connect this switch to the seat just like so, and once we hop into the seat, we have access to the switch now, and when I press 1, check this out, we now see exactly what that camera is seeing. And of course, I can press 1 again, and it brings us back into our first-person view, and then right back to the camera. All right, so here we go. We're gonna press 7. That is going to close the hatch. And then I think if we just press 3, there we go. We are going to start moving forward nice and slow. Now we can go into a higher speed by pressing 4. That activates a second set of switches. And of course we are now moving a little bit faster. So using 9 and 0, I can control the roll of the submarine. So as you can see, if it starts to lean one way or the other, it will help us out. Now, the submarine does kind of naturally go downward as you maneuver and control the thrusters. And so there is a switch that I've added, which is 6. And what that does is it just lifts the entire submarine back out of the water nice and slowly. And so that's pretty much just in case you find yourself kind of slowly going down in the water. You can pretty much just leave your like rising switch on, and it will just keep you at the surface of the water just like this. Now we are making a really hard port turn at the moment though, so we are just going to try and get away from that wall, and there we go. Okay, we are now going away from the wall. And so at this point, I can press the 0 key there, which will bring our roll right back to center. And look at that, we are now cruising along. Now, I'm just going to put this into a slower mode of speed here, and I'm going to turn off the rising thruster. So now what we're going to see is the submarine slowly going down, but we also have our diving function. So if I press the 2 switch, that is going to start the dive sequence. It's going to turn on our diving alarm, and we are going to start going deeper into the water. So here we go. Let's press 2. So you can hear our alarms are going off. We are currently diving right now, and you can even see the roll of the submarine. Let's correct it very quickly, and there we go. So right now, I am just in first person. I obviously can't see anything at the moment whatsoever. We are diving, and so what if we just hop out of the seat here and take a look at this? We can now just walk around the submarine, and I think it might be a good idea to go down here and take a look at our camera. Let's hop into the seat and press 1. Oh yeah, look at that. So we can see the view from the front of the sub. We're slowly going down deeper and deeper into the water. Now this is just some of the coolest stuff I have ever seen in Scrap Mechanic. I didn't even think I'd ever be able to do something like this. So as we walk around the submarine, you can see we are still diving, and there are emergency lights all over the place, flashing and giving the signal that we are currently diving. Right here in the bunks, we also have a couple more lights. Oh yeah, just look at this view. This looks so awesome, and we are obviously still diving right now. Now, moving vertically in water, I mean, even from side to side at times, is really inefficient. It's really slow, so it can be difficult to push yourself down like a submarine, but we are obviously getting deeper and deeper. So now what we're going to do is we are going to pretend that we are really, really deep in the water now, and we are going to turn on the night mode, and so that should make it really dark. Oh yeah. Look at that. I mean, if you can see that, now we are just like in the darkness of the water. It's just getting darker, and we're just going deeper. Now, as you can see, this just looks so cool at night. You can see the emergency lighting from so much farther away now, all blinking, letting us know we're diving into the water here. Now, none of the lights are on, so why don't we just go down to our panel right there, like so. We're gonna turn on all of the lights. And let's just do a little bit of a dark tour of the sub. Oh, yeah. This is looking so cool. And now, like, it's giving me, like, some eerie vibes, you know? Just being deep down underwater, all of the pressure pushing in. There's just something really interesting about it. So now at this point, I think it's a good time to go back up to the surface. We are reaching maximum depth. So this is a really easy thing to solve here. So obviously, let's pretend like we are not all the way at the bottom of the ocean anymore. So what you can do is you can just press the 6 switch just like so. And 6 is the switch that pushes you back up to the surface. And so one thing I've noticed is it really helps if you're moving the sub around when you're trying to go up and down, or even when you're turning. Having other forces seems to just kind of help calculate all of those movements. So if we do it while we're like turning and moving forward, it seems like we get pushed up a little bit faster. So what we're gonna do here is we are gonna bring the sub up to the surface, and we're gonna see it breach that water, and it's gonna look really awesome. Here it goes. Oh yeah, look at that. The antenna's coming up. The whole thing. Okay, we've broken the surface of the water. So at this point, what we can do is we can level it off just like so. And so this is the really cool thing. It's very picky, but as long as you keep it extremely level in the water, if you turn off those thrusters again, you can see that it will slowly sink back down. And so it's sinking all the way in the water. And that's just how picky this thing is at being balanced. So if we go up, so what 5 does is it brings the tail end of the submarine down, and it brings the front of the sub up. And once we do that, we have balanced out enough of the bubble blocks and all of the things that I've done, and you can see that we have kind of reached a state of buoyancy. Now, it helps, of course, if we keep it level in all directions. So that is the air submarine using the Fant mod. I sure hope you guys did enjoy this build. I had a lot of fun making it and a lot of fun using it underwater as well. Now, if you guys did enjoy it, then let me know by hitting that like button. And if you want to tune in for some more Endless Scrap Mechanic, then consider subscribing to the channel and maybe even turning on some notifications so you get the latest and the craziest coming from me in Scrap Mechanics. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will be seeing you in the next one. So bye for now.